is off, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, and hi! Welcome back to G3. I noticed the last time we were all together, I didn't say G3 enough. I don't even know if I said it once, so I'm going to say it more this time. So, hello, we're a new talk show. If you haven't joined us before, we are people who live and work and breathe tech, I guess. And we're incurring some technical difficulties today, so we're a little bit hamstrung, but we are going to overcome them because that's what we do. So let me introduce our gang today. I will introduce you to Hallie Suit Tucker. Hi, Hallie.
Hey, how you guys doing? I always have to ask the first thing, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good. So I just got back. I was away for the weekend up in the mountains with my darling 18-year-old son and his friend, and they were arrogant and obnoxious, and as a feminist I had some problems, but maybe it's just because of this thing that went down. Maybe we'll talk about this week the famous hashtag yes all women. I'm not going to say any more about it. Back to you, Tina.
Okay, I'm sure we will get there and in short order, and we're going to have a short show today because we have some people who are busy. So next up, I'd like to introduce you to Rebecca Woodcock. Rebecca?
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me on the show.
And today we also have a new face, a good friend, Christy Wells. Christy, hello.
Hi, Tina. Hi, ladies. Glad to be with you all today and look forward to what I assume is going to be a stellar conversation.
All right. Well, we hope that Mary Hodder is going to join us. I'll, as a matter of fact, I'm going to just check here and see if we can get her back on Skype. As you know, my studio shot seems to be off, so I'm going to have to reset that too. So Mary hopefully will be joining us. But let's, I had a busy holiday weekend, and I think we all would like to extend our thanks to those who love and lost people in the armed forces over the years. Thank you for your serving us and protecting our freedom. So I realized in our first few shows that we had a couple of memes going on. I know that you all noticed these. One was hats. Two was we had some like sexually explicit comments, I think, on the show. I think Hallie started that. And two, I've been dealing with insomnia the night before. So I wanted to start us all. Oh, and Mary's here. I wanted to start us all, and I'll go to Mary first as soon as I get her full screen, by saying I want your very, very quick tips to sleeping well. So we'll start off nice and slow and easy. And let's see. Here we go. Mary Hodder. Hi, Mary. You're with us.
So sleeping well, I'll tell you what I do. I kind of cheat. First of all, I try to go to bed at the same time every night. Never works, but I try. My new thing is to try to go to bed at 11 p.m. instead of 1 a.m. So that's one thing. And then try to do 7.5 hours of sleep. So like 90-minute cycles, 5 of them. And then but my cheat is that I will use melatonin.
Uh-huh.
If I'm either jet lagged or changing time zones, or I am just too amped to try to get to sleep, I have this stuff, you squirt it under your tongue, and it's like 15 minutes, zonk, you're out. And I love it. I have to say it works well.
What is that, morphine?
Melatonin. It's your body makes.
I'm sorry, it starts with the letter M.
But
I definitely need to get some of that.
And artificially, so what can I say?
Okay, so anyone else have some suggestions for a good night's sleep for me? Because I really do need it. Rebecca, how do you sleep
Rebecca,
well?
go.
I suffer from insomnia too. For years and years and years. And actually, I take melatonin. I actually take a bunch of things.
Uh-oh.
So I just had to go to the doctor, get some sleep medication. I take trazodone right now, which is a bit of a tranquilizer.
Wow.
I also take melatonin and something else. Actually, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically it's tryptophan. It used to
Oh,
be
yeah.
known as the date rape drug, actually, but it's since been approved by the FDA as a sleep and relaxation supplement. So you can buy it. You can just buy it now.
Isn't that the
Uh,
stuff in Turkey?
huh?
Isn't
No,
trypt-
you can buy it
It
here.
is.
Yeah, right?
And
Right? Turkey
yeah.
dinner? Turkey dinner
Or
makes
just
you
go to
sleepy,
Turkey
right?
Farm. There you
Okay,
go.
I see. Yeah, that might be what's in turkey that makes you sleep so well after eating it.
That's right.
Uh, I
Okay.
also, what are my other tips? One thing that I have found that has worked recently for me is guided meditation right before I go to sleep.
Mm.
And so there are podcasts and apps that you can try different things to see what works, because some people's voices may work, some people's
Mm.
techniques may work where others don't. And the only downside to that is oftentimes I'm listening with my earbuds, and you don't really want to fall asleep with your earbuds in, wrapping around your neck. But I do find that helps.
Well, thank you. I think I've got some great input now. And Christy, I think, is going to tell me have a good shot of something. Is that right?
I would do that. I used to say have a nice big glass of wine before you go to bed, and then somebody told me alcohol actually does the exact opposite of that. So maybe because I have enough of it that it puts me out. But I actually have really bad sleeping habits, and I think on average it's 4 to 5 hours a night, and it's hit and miss. I actually get really hot during the night, so I can be all nice and toasty, and then I'm sweaty, and I think that was be changed as I got older, but it actually has been happening since like my mid 20s. So I can't blame it on anything hormonal, or maybe it's hormones still, just more active. But yeah, I mean, I hear exercise is great. I hear hydration is great. Meditation's great. I don't do any of it, so I can't really be the best guide possibly. So I could just say, do as I say, not do as I do in this one.
Mm. Okay, well, I think when the next show rolls around, I'm going to call you all up and we'll make a list of what I should do, because I'm sleeping badly and now I'm loopy. So this is not a good combination.
One more
Tina,
tip,
I have one thing to
Tina?
add.
Yes, Mary.
So, if anybody watched it, I happened to be on a plane Sunday night, and so that's why I was watching actual TV, like with a remote where you go around the channels. And 60 Minutes had a show on FDA drug approvals and women. And the reason they realized that all the drug approvals that have been done over the last 40 years for drugs is a problem for women is because they looked at Ambien, which is a sleeping drug. So what they realized is that the dose is completely wrong for the way that our bodies metabolize it.
Mm.
So I would definitely recommend, if you decide to go do something like an Ambien or something, that you question the dosage from your doctor, because apparently all the studies were done on men, and even 20 years ago, because of Title IX, federal funding said if you get federal money to do a study for any kind of drug, not just Ambien, you must study women as well as men. And the ironic thing, according to the report, is that all the researchers took the data from women and then ignored it and analyzed the data from the men and put those results out. Which is
not
insane.
good.
Well, of
No,
course
it's
they
not
did.
good.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently, it stays in our system until the next day, and it's been causing driving accidents.
Right.
Yeah,
So
actually,
really,
can I
really
add, Tina?
careful.
Yes, Hallie.
That's the thing. If I do take one of these PMs, put in, Advil before it or Tylenol or anything, it does help you sleep, and it helps me sleep all through the morning until noon when I'm supposed to be awake. So I don't like the hangover of it. So here's my 2 or 3 things. One, I have like some really boring books next to my bed. I read. If you have a snoring husband, you have to send him away to a far distant corner of your house or get your other like wife room where there is no snoring husband. And it really is exercise. We just don't do nearly enough physical stuff. So even just walking an hour or two in your day, being sure you get something physical going on, that'll help you sleep. And then I think it's a good time to write and read, so I use it. But
Well, my older daughter just became a personal trainer, and I have a date with her next week to start my new life. So here we go.
Good for you.
So maybe
That's
that's gonna help.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
great.
so maybe we should deal with this first. Over the weekend,
Dun, dun,
we
dun.
had a big explosion on Twitter for sure. And I'm not even sure if it was a Facebook reality or not, but there was this hashtag meme of yes to all women. And I guess it started from the awful Santa Barbara stabbing, shooting spree that a obviously mentally
challenge?
No, not well, more than challenge. I mean, this guy's had some
Unstable.
Just
serious,
unstable.
serious problems, right? Went on this rampage. So I think it started from there, and then it became sort of a woman's. Well, who'd like to explain this a little bit? And Hallie, would you like to sort of
Sure.
take
I'll give
that?
a quick description. And it started as a response to what happened in the Santa Barbara University of California shooting, where this person, a young man, basically had done some videos and a manifesto. I mean, he must not sleep either. He had a 140-page manifesto explaining how women were basically just trouble, and he wanted to round them up. He had a whole system and kill most of them, and it was really inflammatory and very sexist and very anti-female. And interesting, the response by women on Twitter in particular wasn't. I really like the fact that the hashtag wasn't the name of this killer or Santa Barbara or whatever. It became this idea of yes, all women, and then people wrote about what they go through as women. And so it became a bigger issue to say, here's what it's like to be a female. And we've had it with being in a situation, in a society, in a place where we're treated unfairly, where we're not respected, and where we're not safe. Is that a reasonable description? You ladies jump in and you tell me what you think.
Well, I have a couple thoughts. One is regarding the way that I would characterize the guy, and I can't even remember his name because I've mostly paid attention to the more positive, well, negative and positive resulting discussion, the yes, all women, and then, of course, there was a group of guys who said if women don't put out, I kid you not, that this is going to happen more, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I think... So I guess what I want to say is it bothers me to characterize all these young guys who are, sorry, somebody just came in. It bothers me to characterize all these young guys as crazy, mentally ill, whatever. The reason I have a problem with it is because by using that language to separate them, to make them the other, all the other guys who are having trouble dealing with the pains of their lives, and everybody has trouble dealing with the pains of their lives, let's say between 15 and 30 years old. It's the time when we go through adolescence and when we have to figure out how to grow from basically, these teenagers into adults. And if we make everybody who's having trouble with that an other, we we set them aside and we don't think about how we can figure out how to help them. Frankly, I look at this kid and I think he was totally helpable. It's just mental illness is a continuum. And I think about it along the lines of like, tooth care, right? We all go to the dentist every 6 months and we brush our teeth every day. And if we don't do that maintenance, along the same lines that we ought to be doing maintenance in terms of our own mental and emotional and health, then we will end up with a mouthful of rotten teeth or the mental equivalent. And this kid ended up with that. He didn't start there, I don't think. I think he started at a place where he started having trouble and there was nobody there to help him. And my problem with therapy is that a lot of people who are smart can game it really well. The kind of help that he needed was older male mentorship to help him go through the process of starting with, okay, you feel pain. Why? It's actually not women. This is about something about you. If you learn to grow up, you will be interesting to women. So let me help you do that. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have older male mentors helping younger men, we end up with not just this kid, but all the other shootings that have happened and all the other, kind of crazy mass violence that we, every time it happens, we all stop and talk about it for 5 minutes and then we move on with our other social media memes. But we talk about it and we all go to gun control. And while I'm for gun control, I think the real issue is looking at the mental health issues and catching mental health issues way before they get to the extreme like they did with this kid. And so I have a problem with characterizing him as just, a nut job or all the other labels that I've seen all over social media, Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. I want us to figure out how to be inclusive and figure out how to address people's issues way before they go this far.
Well, it would be nice if we were all dealing with mental health in the way that you described, which is, you go see your dentist every 6 months. Why aren't you going to see someone who can kind of give you a check-in, with your mental health and make sure that you're, in the right place? But what I read was that this guy had a number of therapists. I mean, he was not, it sounded to me that he was not without means or without support, and that his family actually had some inkling as to, he had some instability. So, and in all fairness, the mental health world in this country is a nightmare. Absolute nightmare to navigate through. It's
right, and I'm not suggesting actually going through the formal, therapy that is, getting a licensed therapist is the answer. What I'm suggesting is that older men who have learned how to face their own pain and manage themselves appropriately, because everybody feels pain, right? But we have appropriate ways to deal with it. And shooting people or stabbing them or whatever, in this instance, or whatever, violent response somebody might want to engage in isn't appropriate. And so my point is, once a week therapy or twice a week therapy isn't going to do it. Helping somebody grow from a boy to a man and face the pain of that is something that older men need to be doing. And mentorship isn't once a week for an hour either. It's being there and working through the issues over time. And when I bring this up with older men, they kind of look at me like, huh, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And if they have sons, they say, oh, well, I manage my sons. And my point is where are those same guys? Why aren't they out looking for organizations like Boys to Men, for example, to go into to deal with all the kids who don't have a good father, who are can help them with that. And that's my point.
Okay.
Once a week therapy, not doing it.
Right.
And I'd also just add to that too, where I think it's the importance of the male-to-male bonding and the mentorship is absolutely a critical element. I mean, you hear that all the time in single parent families, that young men need a strong, older man to look up to and shape their lives around. But I also think that he needed to have, or I'm perceiving the thought that he had to have a stronger female influences in his life as well, to give him better experiences. And I think for this, I feel very blessed that I've always had a lot of male and female friends. And so you kind of sort that out earlier on in life. I think that we should be looking at this as multifaceted, that yes, we should have better mentorship in the same sex form, but also how do you ensure that they have really good experiences cross-gender so that they don't come up with this it's us against them type philosophy.
This is some really rich conversation here about this, and I could imagine doing several shows about it. So, what happened from the social media perspective, and is this we're seeing more and more of this of someone says something racist and we call them out, and there's action in social media, there's a call to action, and something happens. We're seeing tragedies have for a while now been responded to in social media. Is this a sense of a water cooler effect where we're talking to each other? Is it a communal thing where we're experiencing that? When I started to read these Twitter hashtags last night, I was reading about people reading these and crying, and people were doing it at the same time. I think there was some sort of I don't know, a communal type of feeling. So are we experiencing a place of it's almost like a place of worship or something that we're gathering together and bonding, or is this just wearing the pink ribbons on our lapels to call attention to breast cancer? What do you think's going on here?
I think it's actually.
Go ahead. Whoop. I got Christy locked up, so let's see if we can unlock her.
I'd
your
like to
friend.
comment on that.
Okay. Hang on. Oh,
think-
Christy's back. Hang on. Christy, I think you're locked up for a second.
Oh, I did. Sorry. So I think for me, the beauty of social media is being able to, get a sense of you're not alone in that respect, that, you may not be able to have these discussions with a parent or sibling or a friend, but that you can put it out on the web and find people with similar interests or experiences. And it gives you that sense of belonging. At the same time, it also is this amazing platform to bring awareness and transparency to an issue, whether that be civil rights or women's rights or just racism as a whole across America. I mean, the key for us, though, is being able to post these things and having these discussions in a civil and respectful manner, and they're very hot topics, they're very emotionally driven, and so that's extremely hard to do. But if we ever want to think about being able to advance these, it's not just talking about it and getting it visible, it's then also what's the call to action and what can we do together to start to improve the way we actually as a society work with one another and treat one another as a whole.
Rebecca,
yes.
I'm wondering if you think that these social media come-togethers, whatever we want to call them, is there any negative to them? I mean, does this meme get hijacked? Does it, as Mary suggested, maybe sometimes it's diverting from the real issue? What are your feelings on that?
Well, one thing I'd like to say is that in a case like this, where it's almost become a movement, to me it's when we're talking about safety and violence towards women, and oftentimes we grow up and face all sorts of different situations in our lives, but we don't feel empowered to talk about it or to say something in that moment because of fear that we might accelerate the situation or draw out more violence. And so we sort of try to avoid and back away and we don't have that voice. And I think what happened here is that we all have these experiences that we face in all sorts of situations, in public, in private, in whatever it may be. And suddenly social media has allowed a voice in a safe way where, we're guarded by technology. So we're not confronting someone face to face and with fear of accelerating the situation, but it's now an outlet where we all share something and we can talk about it. And the amazing thing is that when I was reading, I just learned about this last night, this hashtag. And so I was scrolling through the tweets as well. And it was amazing how many times I was nodding my head and said,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, that happened to me. Or, yeah, I do think about those things. Or, I did grow up learning how to do that. Carry my keys in my hand and even between my knuckles, so you're not rummaging around in your purse.
Right.
Or even just the other night, a bunch of girlfriends and myself had dinner, and after a certain hour, you don't walk home; you take a taxi.
Mm-hmm.
And these are real things that we all relate to. We all relate to. And that's the amazing thing, that we never really talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we suddenly have this voice. And what struck me also is...
So is there any negative to this happening this way?
So,
Having it happen through social media, are we experiencing it? Are we really experiencing it? Is there some maybe a divide because it's virtual, it's online, we're reading it, we're not, I mean...
I think there's a potential negative for it. It seems as though the tone of the conversation has not gone into a very bad place, where it's becoming male bashing. Because I don't see that happen. That is a possibility, but I don't see that happening here. There is that risk. There's also the risk of a backlash, which I think there may have been a response hashtag about not all men, but I don't think it has gotten much traction, because it's really not the point. And they've totally missed the point by responding in that way. And I think the amazing part is that
I see Hallie wanting to interject badly, so she's she's frantically waving her hands.
Not all men was where it started, because not all men was a thing that would come up when people were saying things about men are evil and they do bad things and they rape, and many men would say not all men, to remind women. This was over years, over social media. So the woman, I believe it was the woman who started, yes, all women go through these things, was saying, I don't want to talk about what men go through. I want to create a place for women to talk about what their lives are like. And as we do that, I've said it before and I'm going to stop, but in some ways it's very much like this Arab Spring. You have to understand what you're going through and share that you're all going through this, to say, we don't want to go through this anymore. And I think Rebecca's right on that.
I think it's really interesting that in past shootings or past, kind of breakout violence, that we've looked at the guys, and we've talked about motivations and various things, and misogyny and aggression toward women has come up, but it has not been as clear as in this instance. Right. I think it's really positive that the hashtag was created. Men don't worry about walking home alone late at night. I mean, they just don't. I've talked with most of my male friends and my brother and various other folks, and they never think about it. And we always think about it. So there is a difference between our experience. And it's true that all men aren't perpetrators of violence towards women or people generally. But, the problem is that some men are. And statistically, it's men who do most of that. So the problem is that because some men do it, women respond, and we don't know who's going to do it. It's hard to tell the difference between the guy that's going to do it and the guy that's not going to. In fact, a lot of the violence toward women is perpetrated by men that we know. So, and
sometimes
the other
men
thing
in
that
our
I would
own
point
families
out is initially, this yes, all women discussion focused on the specific event in Santa Barbara, and then it grew to, include people's individual stories, and then we started looking at the greater problem, which is, the prevalence of rape, the explosion of rape on campuses. It's related. Mm-hmm. And, Time Magazine's cover story this, for yesterday is campus rape, and the fact that 1 in 5 women will be raped. Mm-hmm. Statistically, it's just a fact, and they're being raped by men. So I get that all men don't do it, but the problem is some men do it.
Yeah,
And so it's not to blame men. And in fact, I disagree with, Hallie shared the link to the New Yorker article, which we can post when we post this thing. There's a New Yorker article that's very well written, but one thing that she says near the end of the article is that, or maybe it was, I'm sorry, it was Joanne
Wilson.
Excuse me, Hallie, you're going to have to step in and tell me the name of the thing.
It was Joanne Wilson.
It was a woman blogger, Joanne Wilson's article talking about this. And she says, we're going to have to shame men. And other men are going to have to shame men. And I think that's not the answer either. The point here is not to shame people. The point here is, because then you have good guys who are getting shamed too, right? Just for being a guy. I don't want that. I want a world where the guys step up and own their ability to possibly be aggressive and say, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a choice not to do that. And women can own what we do, which is, most men, I think, fear, even though most women don't do it, they fear a woman being manipulative. And it's happened once, twice, maybe a few times in their lives, so they fear it.
But
the problem is that we're both not stepping up in each of our respective genders and owning what we're capable of.
They feel like
this
guy
writes.
Hang on, two of you are talking at once.
Whoa. The social media discussion.
All right, whoa. Two of you are talking at once.
We don't deal on the bigger sphere. We're not going to stop the next shooting.
Okay. And Mary, hang on 1 second. Hallie,
social media before in either Facebook or Twitter, where people have so quickly gone to the bigger issue and just said, okay, let's set Santa Barbara aside here for a second. Right. Let's look at where we really need to go as a society, and let's use social media to have the discussion. Mm-hmm. I thought it was extremely positive.
Hallie, you were trying to interject there.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I will agree. And Mary, for me, you hit it, which is that somebody made it really bigger, much more important, and something we can all share and talk about, and that is the basis for change. Instead of one of these hand-wringing and everybody hugging each other murder scenes on TV. Enough of that, thank you. So I love the way social media is covering this compared to TV. That's another thing that's happening. But what I was going to say, as I'm reading this kid complaining, she turned me down. She should have sex with me. And I thought, in some ways, we all know we're talking about power and the power women have. And one of the few powers left that women have, and we cultivate now with older women supporting it, is the power to say no, and no, we won't have sex with you. And so really, when you're in the bigger picture, there's so much power we're deprived of. There's so many places we are powerless. And his big rant is, let's take the one piece of power away, okay? Because God, they have no reason that they should deny us what we want. I mean, what is this, like Greece? We're going to have to do like Lisa Strada and tell them no sex with any men. The whole nation has to do that? I'm getting carried away. Go ahead.
All right. Well,
I guess I would say that this gets back to my issue about male mentoring, right? It's older men who can help younger men see women, as people, as autonomous people who get to choose what we do with our bodies, right? And so, yes, I get that. I can tell that to a young guy. I could tell that to a 20-year-old guy and say, look, I'm an autonomous person, and I get to decide whether I am involved with you or not in some way, and how far that goes. I get to decide. But the place where that really gets cemented for a guy in his body so that he doesn't try to push the boundary, and the boundary is women get to be autonomous, right? The place where he cements that is with an older man mentoring him. And until we deal with that, we will continue to have problems with rape and, shootings and guys basically believing that somehow women are responsible for giving them what they want, when in fact it's both people have to say yes. And they're not, when they don't understand that, they're acting like an adolescent. That's where you need the older male mentor to come in and help them grow up.
Okay. Well, as I said before, this is a huge topic, and it's sort of unfair to try to even tackle it with the little time that we have today, and also hard to move off of it because what's more important. But let's get a few other things in while we can. So let me see. How can I make this swift an easy transition. I can't.
Non sequitur, non sequitur. Here, just
can't.
wave your hands across.
So
Non
I'll
sequitur,
just
non sequitur.
I'll just go for it anyway. So so Memorial Day sort of reminds me of family and sort of reminds me of home. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what Apple thinks that they're going to do. Next week, they're going to be making some interesting announcements, we think, and it's going to have to do with home, maybe home automation, home connectivity. And home also reminds me of family, and that's where I want to draw Christy in a little bit. And I would like her to introduce herself a little bit more. I didn't really give her a chance to at the top. So she can tell us what she does at Ancestry.com. Hopefully her signal will hold out. I see her kind of flitting in and out a little bit, but let's get to Christy for a second. And Christy, give us a little Twitter bio, okay?
Sure. Well, as a social butterfly, the fact that you use flittering about kind of appeals to me because I like to flit about room to room. But I've been in the tech space for 25 years or so. And I joined just actually coming up on my 1-year anniversary here at Ancestry.com, and I head up the global social media for the team. So I work with the folks around the world to create content that hopefully will get people inspired to discover, preserve, and share their family stories. So I love that you've wrapped that into this conversation, but I actually would love to circle back to the Apple thing because can I just say how blown away I am that we actually don't have robots washing my dishes in the morning. So whatever Apple's going to tell me next week, it's got to be an improvement than what I have right now. But with all the technology we have in our lives, how do we not have much more already, right?
Amen.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Roomba
Because AI sucks.
Yes, AI does suck.
Because it's really hard to do.
And by the way, I just wanted to let you know, because you don't have a visual right now, but Hallie did have to get to a doctor's appointment. So her screen is now blank, and Hallie will join us the next time. So what's happening with the Apple announcement? Any predictions? I mean, you guys have read a little bit about it, maybe, and we think maybe there's going to be Apple TV connected to either iPhone, connected to some third-party products, lights turning on, security turning on and off. Anybody make a heads or tails of it? Want to make some predictions?
I don't know. I kind of think it could go in one of two directions, and it could go in both. I mean, who knows? They could announce two things. But I do think there's going to be some kind of in-the-home Internet of Things kind of a product or solution that they propose. And it could be a better Apple TV or a next generation Apple TV. I don't know. It could be, a refrigerator that orders you milk and tracks your every move and your every calorie. I don't know. Maybe they're going to compete with Nest. Who knows? I mean, they love to compete with Google, and it could be one of those things. The other thing is that they could just have a massive upgrade to things that they already do. It could be something around phone and management of personal data, or I mean, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing, actually, if they announced that they were collapsing some of their lines, like having all the different, iPad levels, mini, Maxi, the Air, and then, of course, MacBooks and MacBook Pros and things. I mean, they're kind of, sliding or dangerously close to the days when they had just had a million different computing products, and it may be time for them to, kind of collapse down, and maybe that's it. I don't know.
This isn't the large phone announcement, right? I mean, that's coming later in the year, do we think?
It's supposed to, but who knows? Maybe they've moved that up. Maybe we're going to see these Mondo, huge iPhones that really just are an iPad mini. I don't know.
I got to tell you, I need a larger iPhone. This is not working for me anymore. A lot of people know me. I carry a big iPad in my bag with me all the time. And I'll just whip that out. And excuse the expression, but I'll whip that out and use that instead of the phone because it's just too damn small. I'm sorry, but I definitely need a larger iPhone. Any other predictions, or maybe we should say, what do we want them to do? What should they be doing, Rebecca?
So I'm envisioning if you think about Apple and what they do and how they create platforms. They create platforms for developers to develop on, and companies who have products or services are now buying into that and creating iPhone apps and iPad apps and plugging into everything that you can control just in the palm of your hand. But what if you can imagine your home being able to connect to everything, or having those types of apps, where if Apple creates that platform and basically digitize or creates a central way to digitize your home,
Mm-hmm.
then I would imagine that things like your refrigerator, where we haven't really seen it become smart, but manufacturers can then start building apps into this platform that will allow you to control your lights, your refrigerator, your stove, and then be able to do it, sync it to your iPhone, your iPad, anywhere you go, so that you can manage everything remotely. And all the things in your house can then have a platform, a common platform to build on, to become intelligent, to become smart. And actually, this is going to be a little bit of an out there vision, but I was looking the other day just in my house, my TV, my mirror, my bookshelf, the thing that the TV sits on, it's all redundant actually. I don't need that bookshelf if I can leverage that TV screen to have a virtual bookshelf that then syncs to my iPad or whatever it is. Or even my mirror could also, I mean, a mirror, if you think about it, is sort of like an analog selfie. You could use the screen, the mirror, the bookshelf, storing everything that you have, all the content in one, and you don't need all these things, physical things, which for me would be so refreshing. I want less stuff. And the stuff that I do have, I want it to be smart. So if you can imagine that central place that connects everything in your home, I think what I hope would be, and what I think is what I think is necessary is for manufacturers of all these different items to buy into that, because otherwise it will be very difficult to have just hardware and one-off just connected device platforms. I think they can be that central place that everybody buys into.
Christy, you said that you wished that someone was washing your dishes or doing something whiz bang for you in the house. What would be on your wish list this week if Apple could give it to you? You put a really big smile on your face.
Well, I was sitting because, I mean, Rebecca hit on it a couple of things. I mean, first off, I don't really know if I want a smart refrigerator, because the damn thing's going to tell me when I need carrots and broccoli and not remind me when I need cheese and beer. So, I mean, I got to set the expectations there. But I think, honestly, what she was saying earlier just resonated so much that I want to reduce the stuff that we have, that our home entertainment system is a complicated mess that maybe my husband did intentionally, but we've got an Xbox, we've got a smart TV, we've got an Apple TV, we've got a cable box, we've got 13 remotes. And honest to God, like, I should just have one thing I go to, and whether it's the virtual bookshelf, on the TV screen, or it's just one remote that controls every single thing, including my lighting and everything else. I lose stuff easily. It frustrates me. And I think that's just, if we could find a way to minimize and simplify it, I actually think that that's pure gold, because it'll ensure not just that I can use it, but that everybody in the world could use it too. And but they won't do it because they make lots of money making stuff. So if I had to pick just one thing, maybe it's just like I don't know, Apple. Let me. It's got to be iTunes related, because I'm still frustrated about my, my music stuff. So maybe. I can't even talk. I have no idea. I'm frustrated by tech right now. So I guess I'm probably not the good one to think of a wish list of what I'd like to have. I know that I don't have what I want right now.
Okay, so how about if we, our car, we've got our phone in our car with us. The car knows when we're getting close to our house. We've got geolocation. The house knows then that we need to put the lights on. We need to turn the music on. We need to maybe warm up the... this isn't going to happen this week. Okay. That the oven needs to be preset, and we need to turn the heat on because we're getting close to the house. Okay. So maybe it knows this. And that would be my wish, that it gets things ready for us. And of course, we've got our security system. We could see that that's going to get connected. It's already, I think a lot of these things are already there in pieces, but I think what Apple's probably going to try to do is, pull it together um, under their Apple way of doing things.
Do you
And
do you think Apple's the best platform to do it, or do you think it should be somebody like a Google, or maybe there's another vendor out there? I guess I just like, who should own this? Who should own your digital, living room and, the sync to the car and all this?
Mary, you've got some ideas about that?
Yeah, I actually have a different wish list, which I want to tell you about. But as far as who should do the suite that you're talking about right now, the kind of suite of features and apps and hardware and stuff, I do think that Apple does the best job with, interfaces and slimming things down and organizing stuff. So whether it's the kind of home control that you're talking about, Tina, or the entertainment, slim down. Yeah, I mean, I think it's Apple. I'll tell you what I would like from Apple. What I want from Apple is and it can be any of the devices that they have right now, but what I want is a specific suite of interfaces and hardware that basically lets me run everything that I have to run in the household. And that's different than the thermostat or whatever. I don't want to take this device out with me. I actually want to leave it in the kitchen. And I want it to help integrate with all the devices we've got. So calendar and organizational to-do lists and data. So for example, if I'm out and I'm on my phone, I want to be able to ping that machine and figure out what's that thing that I need to get for one of the cats, right? I'm near the vet. Help me know what I need to do, or remind me when I need to take the cats in for something, to pick up a medication or to get them checked for something, or help me with, if I had kids, with organizing their sort of medical and school stuff, or
Right,
help
but that
me
sounds like
organize
that
the
sounds like a
warranties on
calendar.
all the crap that we have in the kitchen and the bathroom and all the kind of mechanical parts of the house. Like, help me run the house in a way that doesn't take me so long. I spend a lot of time kind of organizing all this stuff. It's like my third job after my first job, which is work, and then my second job, which is running our lives, and then I have to run the household. And it's just, I have a house manual that I've written on paper, right, to help me organize all this junk and keep track of it. So like, we have a contractor here and I needed gravel. And I'm like, I don't remember what kind of gravel we bought 3 years ago. So I had to go look it up in the paper manual, but thank goodness I wrote it down. Well, if I had this all in kind of an organized Apple-y interface thing in the kitchen, like the household management system, and then the one caveat for that is I want the data to be mine, because I'm populating it and it's basically my stuff. And Apple can help me with it, but I want that stuff to be mine and about me. It's extremely personal information, right? It's all the detritus and detail about me and my household. I want to be able to control that and not have it bleeding out all over so that later they can advertise to me in my Nest or whatever. I mean, I just,
right.
Like, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I need some streaming ads in my house. And nobody looks at house porn like El Decor and says,
Mary, hang on.
Look at the fancy living room. And look, they've got a streaming ad on the wall.
Mary.
Like, I don't want that. I don't want this data used against me effectively later. I want to keep it private and personal, and I like Apple to essentially make my house
Christy is waving goodbye.
Data store management system that could really maintain all this data, but not have it leaking out all over, so that I feel like I'm violated every time I don't know, pass the thermostat.
Okay, well, Christy had a hard stop at 1, so she said goodbye while you were talking. Sorry. That's okay. I've got to let everyone know today that we did an upgrade on our TriCaster, which we love, by the way. We love you, New Tech TriCaster, but we somehow scuttled some settings. And so my panel of lovely women were flying blind today with no visual cues whatsoever. So it's amazing that we could even do this. But right now, what you can't see, ladies, is that I've got a Mickey Mouse graduation hat on right now. And this is in honor of my daughter, who is graduating 8th grade, and she just went to Disneyland, and she bought this lovely hat with a tassel, and it's got Mickey Mouse ears, and so it's so cute. And I want to wish my daughter Ella a great graduation this week. I want to extend my best wishes to all the graduates, and I hope next time when Hallie's on, maybe we'll all join in. We'll give a little advice to our 20-year-old selves of what we would have liked someone to tell us maybe when we were a young grad. So let's wind this up. There's just the two of us left now, and we've got to go. So let's let me. I haven't been doing some thanks that I need to do. So let me again thank New Tech and their fabulous TriCaster, and I'll give you a little picture shot of that. Oh, look at that, it's lovely. And I'd like to thank all of our supporters of the Gilmore Gang and of the Gilmore Girls Gang. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll be back soon. I'd like to say, let me let you also say goodbye, Mary.
Goodbye.
Rebecca.
Goodbye, but before I go, I did want to share a discount for next week. There's the Glazed Conference, which, speaking of Internet of Things, this is more about wearables, but will include topics like smart homes and other wearable technology. So that's next week, June 3rd and 4th. We will be posting a 2-for-1 ticket discount on our Facebook page. So make sure to like our page so that when we post that, you'll get to see that. And if you want to go, it's in San Francisco, you get that discount. So other than that, bye. Hope to see you.
Okay, and I was just gonna put up our Facebook page name, but somehow that also is eluding me. So it's facebook.com/G3show. And I thank you all for being here. I encourage you all to step out of your comfort zone and go out and do something good and come back and talk to us about it. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thanks, Tina.
Bye.
Bye.